Headline News.
Where's my guy? Is that him? I want to bring on a Super Bowl champ, an Eagle, a Packer, a Cardinal, a Bronco linebacker. He's my guy, Seth Joyner, on a Friday. So apparently you just think we're all nuts on this Jimmy Garoppolo affinity we all have. You think we're all a little crazy. Go ahead, grab that mic. So you don't quite see what we see? Because I think the guy's unbelievable. Whitlock and I think he's unbelievable.
It's not that I don't believe that he has the potential to be, a franchise quarterback. I just think that, a lot of the times what happens is, we crown players before they've earned anything.
And that's true.
And then when they have, some setback, then, there's this massive disappointment. And that happens because, we've crowned them instead of allowing them to earn the accolades that we give.
Okay, so that's interesting. So let's say I was thinking about this morning. This weekend, Seth, we have some really good matchups between Dak and Russell Wilson, Garoppolo and Bortles, Goff and Mariota, Cam and Jameis. So we have all these young quarterbacks, these young guns meeting. And so I told my staff this morning, if you could go and redraft all the top young quarterbacks in the league today. So these guys have all been in the last four drafts, 2014, 15, 16, and 17, and there's 12 of them. If you could redraft them, and again, to your point, I'm crowning some of these guys. Mm-hmm. I think Wentz, Garoppolo, and Deshaun are the clear stars. I think Carr, Goff, and Dak could be, but need more help. The rest of them, you can pick the order. So am I? Now I'm doing a lot of some guessing on this. So, but my question to you is: this is me kind of projecting forward what I see. When you look at this, am I way off in any of these guys?
I don't think you're way off. It's too early to tell is my biggest thing. When you talk about Bortles, as I look at this list, when you talk about Bortles, Mariota, and Jameis, I think the issues with those guys is the jury's still out on those guys. Those guys have been playing long enough for them to be able to be showing us the fruit of what they can possibly be.
So my rankings here are pretty accurate, whereas I got some time with these dudes, and they're not blowing me away.
Yeah, if I was a GM and I was going to draft one of those quarterbacks right there,
of my 12?
Yes, and you can talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo has been trained sitting at the foot of Tom Brady, being tutored by the New England Patriot brass. So he really understands the game. Obviously, he's a smart guy, and he gets it. But if I had the best offensive coordinators at my disposal, I'm looking at a guy like Deshaun Watson. I think that the draft gurus over the years have made a huge mistake, because this kid went from Deshaun Watson went from being the projected number one quarterback to being drafted number 12, and Trubisky jumped him, and the kid from that Kansas City drafted.
Oh yeah, Patrick
Mahomes. Okay,
you think that was a big mistake?
Well, how in the world does a kid go to two national championships in a row, play against arguably the best defense in all of college football?
Oh, there's no arguing that it is.
And he takes them apart
both times,
2 years in a row.
Yeah, what I always thought was interesting. It's not because if people always said, well, Johnny Manziel beat Saban. You know what because I thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback in that draft. I always said, no, it's different. Mm-hmm. Deshaun played Nick, and Nick got 6 weeks to prepare both times. Mm-hmm. Okay, Johnny Manziel, the first time Johnny beat Nick, or he only beat him once. If you remember what happened, Seth, is that Alabama had played back-to-back brutal games. Manziel sneaks in the back door, and they don't even know who the heck he is. Nick got 12 weeks to prepare for Deshaun, and he tore Alabama full of NFL players apart twice. So I'm with you. To me, Wentz, Garoppolo, and Watson, they just look different. And by the way, I think you agree with me on Wentz and Watson. You just say the jury's out in Garoppolo.
Well, yeah. Give the guy a full season of football. Give him an opportunity to play against some of the better defenses, because the last three games that he's won, I wouldn't call either one of those teams juggernauts. I will be watching this weekend against Jacksonville to see how he plays, because this will be the best defense thus far that he's faced. And if he goes in and he takes that defense apart, then I'll have to kind of adjust my stance. But right now, I want to see him play against better defenses. And to end my point about the quarterback gurus and the draft gurus, so to speak, they're about to make the same mistake with Lamar Jackson. Okay, because
I don't like him as much. He's skinny.
Skinny. The kid can throw the ball. He's a threat to run it.
But he's 120 pounds.
Yeah, but he just needs development. I mean, there's not a single player, that comes from the college ranks that doesn't need development.
Dude, he's skinnier than me, and I'm a nothing. I'm licorice.
Okay.
Deshaun is.
I can't wait till next year this time to be sitting here having this conversation with you.
I want to show that Gronk cheap shot hit. So when Gronk did this, now the Bills and the Patriots play this weekend. I don't think the Bills will retaliate because they're in a playoff race, and if they retaliate, it could be a fine and a suspension, and this is a nice player. You think there's going to be retaliation for Gronk's cheap baloney hit?
I think there's going to be retaliation from the standpoint that if there's a shot there, a legal shot to be taken, that someone on the Bills is going to take it.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what he did right there was uncalled for. I mean, I believe that Gronk was totally frustrated at that point in the game, and that this kid was probably chirping in his ear, probably covering him better than anyone's covered him in a while. And because Gronk's used to kind of having his way.
Sure.
He's used to doing whatever he wants to do. And this kid gave him the business all day long. I know from a defensive perspective, I know how defensive players think.
You guys are all nuts.
Well, I mean, you got to be a little bit nuts to play the game.
Well, you defensive guys are wired differently.
Well, they're wired differently, and there's a lot more aggression. People talk about offensive players versus defensive players, and when you hear all the talk about player safety and whatnot, the offensive players are the most staunch ones. What the offensive players want to do is they want to be able to run through your defense and do whatever they want to do.
Defensive guys want to blow them up.
Well, as a defensive player, I understand that I can steal your soul. I can steal your heart. Okay, you come through my zone. If I lay you out, the next time you come through, you're going to be looking instead of looking for the ball, or instead of doing what you're supposed to do. What the NFL has effectively done, they've taken the intimidation factor away from defenses.
Yeah.
And every advantage is afforded to the offense anyway. They get all the rules. They know where they're going. They know what the snap count is. They know what the play call is. They know what the adjustment is.
So intimidation was a big part of your game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they've basically extracted that out of the game of football. And to me, that's what's made defenses, less effective than what they used to be, because you can't strike that fear of God in offensive players the way you used to.
By the way, you played in the Eagles. Dallas is healthier than Philadelphia right now. Zeke's back. Have you heard the story of that? Sean Lee's back.
And?
What's going to happen when Dallas goes and beats Philadelphia in the playoffs? That's going to sting.
Dallas is not even going to make the playoffs. Are you kidding me?
They're healthy.
You know how many things have to happen for Dallas to get into the playoffs? That's the first thing. The second thing is, I've been saying, probably since week 10, that the two wild card teams will come out of the South, out of the NFC South anyway. Okay, you'll get the 4 division winners, and then the two teams will come out. I don't know which one.
Carolina, Atlanta, probably.
Yeah. So Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans are coming out of the South. Dallas ain't making the playoffs. Not making the playoffs. So we ain't worried about Dak. We ain't worried about Zeke.
Sounds like bitterness.
We ain't worried about anybody. Not worried about we'll worry about the Cowboys next year. By the time we get to the Cowboys in week 17, it'll be a wrap. We'll be playing our backups.
All right, good seeing you. Seth Joyner. Guys, time of the year against the holiday season. You're going to eat more. By the way, there's cookie trays, Christine, everywhere in this dang building.
It's hard to avoid cookies right now.
I got chocolates all over my desk.
Look at this.